before you, will encircle you, will change your story, will elevate your brand, will prosper your vision.
Welcome to Kingdom Leaders Global Alliance. Join us as we build saints to become voices, visionaries, and vessels of God's kingdom. God bless you.
Hello, DDK.
Hello. How are you today?
I'm good. It's so good to see you.
Thank you so much. An absolute joy to see you again, Mrs. Notch.
Thank you for the honor of having you here. I'm going to be out of your way because we are ready as ever. I'll be back in 40 to 50 minutes to take questions that we have from the audience if you have time. Over to you, Ma. Thank you.
Blessings. Hello, everyone, and I'm absolutely pleased to be here. It's a joy to share this evening with you, and I hope that you are well on your side. You're welcome. Welcome. Thank you. Let me know in the comments how you're doing on your side today, and what have you found most striking already with the conference. It's been like I get a sense of an extraordinary time of insights, learning, and transformative counsel, which I truly hope has been a door opener of answers for you. So you tell me if there is something you're never going to forget from the conference already. What has it been? I'm just curious to know, and I'm going to keep my eyes on the chat. So tell me, what is the most striking? What is the most unforgettable? What is the most powerful thing you have uncovered so far at the conference? Intentionality in parenting. I love it. I love it. Okay, maybe I'll say we are now burnt offerings. Look at that. That means it's been fire, 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 fire. I will never forget that I'm a culture. Oh my God. Speaking in tongues, a sign. Parenting is war, not a walk in the pack. Oh my God. Speaking in tongues is a sign that the Holy Spirit came into your life, but the fruits of the Spirit are evidence that the Spirit stayed. Doing great already. The conference has been fireful. My family is a nation. Parenting is more about me than my children. Doing very well. Most striking is I can't raise my kids in fear. Parenting is about me. I will be held accountable for how I raise my children. Parenting is war. Parenting is war. Our first ministry as parents is to our children. 18 years to parent well, 19 years your report card. Powerful things have already happened. The war requires spirit, skills, systems, and strategy. I'll never forget that my parenting is tailored to the calling of my children. If both spouses are not in unity, parenting will not work. Most complaints of parents about their children are mostly parenting issues. Can my child recommend me is a thinking question. Call out what is wrong. What is wrong is wrong. Oh my God, there has 100% been fire already this precious evening. And the things that I have read already have me just buzzing with delight, because it gives me a sense of the caliber of counsel that you have received. And the thing about counsel is that you have to be responsible. The thing about counsel is that you are going to give account, right? So we're not at this conference to just learn. We're here to upgrade our knowledge acquisition so that we can upgrade our knowledge application. We're here to take counsel that is weighty so that we can shift our lives, our parenting, and our genealogy into new realms of power. Now, let me start off by showing you something truly, truly profound in Psalms 127, verse 4. And it says, as arrows are in the hands of the mighty, like arrows in the hands of a warrior, are children born in one's youth. Like arrows in the hands of a warrior are children born in one's youth, right? And the interesting thing with this particular scripture is it's not merely describing youth in that chronological sense of being a young person. It's actually describing youth in that sense of strength. And that is why scriptures also say that the glory of a young person is their strength. Do you see this? The glory of a young person is their strength. And so if you put that together, what you sort of get is that just like arrows are in the hands of a mighty man, or like arrows are in the hands of a warrior, that is how the children of those who are strong will be in their lives. Just as a mighty man is able to strategically position his arrow toward a target and an endpoint, that is how the children of a couple or a parent that is strong and intentional and strategic, that is how they'll be in the world. So we know without a doubt that parenting gives us an opportunity to be strategic. Parenting gives us an opportunity to partner with the God of heaven and unveil on the earth, according to the time of life, a strategy that defeats the agenda of the enemy. And we're going to look at a few things today that I believe will be very valuable contributions to the, counsel and the weighty insights that have already come through. And I want you to keep brewing Psalm 127, verse 4 in your heart, right? So I'm going to read a few translations of this particular scripture, and then we get on into some of the insights that I want to bring to bear today. Look at it. It says, like arrows in the hands of a warrior are children born in one's youth. Children born in one's youth are like arrows in the hands of a mighty man. It says, I'm going to give you one more translation. It says, this one that I found very interesting. The sons of a man in his youth are like arrows in a soldier's hands. So parenting can offer you an opportunity to strategically position your seeds toward a definitive future, toward a definitive end goal, toward a definitive outcome. And the reason that parenting is war is because, and I mean, there are so many reasons we would explore, but one of the most defining reasons why parenting is war is because we are set in the context of a battle in the world. We're living in a world that is sophisticated in its warfare. We're living, more importantly, in a time where the nature of the warfare is supremely subtle that you could miss it as happening. So in your everyday going out and coming in, doing business, engaging in transactions of every kind, interacting on social media, meeting people, there is such a warfare that is very subtle and thus even more powerful. So parenting is war because we are set in the context of a battlefield in the world around us. And so it means that if you treat parenting as like business as usual and you just go about your own thing, I didn't offend anybody, no one should offend me, it's not going to be good enough in the way that we are required to strategically disciple the next generation, parent our seeds, and actually position them for a destiny, for a definitive purpose, a definitive outcome in their lives. So I think that the first question for me today that I hope you are going to be willing to explore with me is, what does the report card really look like? What things should you have your eyes on in your life as a parent that you can go back to in 3 months or in 6 months or in 1 year, and then you're able to say, against this definitive matrix, I will measure my effort as a parent. I will be able to weigh my work as a parent, as a mother or a father, between my husband and my wife, and our coming together. when we want to make an assessment of how well we are doing, these are critical arenas that we will weigh ourselves. The reason this is important is because if you're unable to measure a thing, you are unable to manage that thing. If you're unable to manage that thing, you're unable to multiply it if it is working. Do you see? So we have a great requirement of a set of matrix that will matter in the coming days. What are the definitive matrix? What is the scoreboard? What is the report card? What is the roadmap? Against what are we able to say, I'm ticking off rightly on these boxes, and this will matter in the coming days, so that it's not guesswork. And I believe that that's one of the big reasons you are encouraged to be a part of this extraordinary community, in the inner circle, so that you are accessing the counsel, the insights, the coaching, and the community that you require to really get your game going. Because you got pregnant and had a child, or you've had children, 2, 4, 8, 20, whatever the number, does not mean that you became a natural at parenting, right? You, even though have that biological opportunity to have brought these children to the world, you have to reckon that there will be a specific set of requirements that you must grow into, and you must engage that progressive transformation of your own life if you're going to be able to mature your parenting to the degree that it becomes effective. So what am I trying to say with this? I'm saying that because you are a biological parent does not mean that you are a strategic parent. I'm saying that because you are the natural parent to a child or to a certain set of children does not mean that you are going to be able to position them for their highest destiny. Parenting will invite you, excellent parenting will invite you on a transformative journey where you are changing and maturing for you to be able to make the right investments in the lives of your own children. So let's explore a few things tonight that I believe would be a valuable contribution to the conversation we're already having about how to weigh our parenting. What is the scoreboard? What matters? What counts? What is the scorecard? I mean, what matters? What counts? And what investments must we make in the coming days if we're going to be strategically positioned to strategically position our children? And I'm not playing with words. This is an invitation to transfiguration, right? Strategic parenting is an invitation to transfiguration. It means that you actually have to become a person that you are not today if you are going to be able to unlock the destiny that is within your child, if you're going to be able to unlock the potential that is within your child, if you're going to be able to set them on collision course with their destiny, if you're going to be able to help them unlock the greatness that they carry. There's a person that you can become, but you have not yet become, and will be a requirement to really release the greatness that is within your child. So strategic parenting is an invitation to transfiguration. It's an invitation to transformation. And for those of you who feel like you even have like children who are different, who are not the best behaved, the most courteous, the gentlest, the kindest, the easiest to manage in that sense, and you feel like you're looking at your friends and looking at your neighbors, your colleagues at work, or members of your church, and you're feeling like, why do they have it easier? Why wasn't I blessed with the gift of a child that is so malleable and so quiet and gentle and all of that? If you've got a charismatic, natural leader who is opinionated, argumentative, energetic, has her own mind or his own mind, their own way of doing things, or even a child who does not have a natural affinity for traditional educational systems or traditional forms of learning, I want you to know that you even have a more precious opportunity at transfiguration. If you've got a child that you consider difficult, or you consider too opinionated, you consider too strong a personality, you even have an extra opportunity to quicker transfiguration. What that means is it can never be business as usual, and you can't simply try to shut them down. In fact, the children that God is unearthing and releasing in this generation and dispensation, they are actually sage great children. They are sage great children, Daniel great children, Deborah great children. Their children arriving on the scene with very strong spirits, because season after season, dispensation after dispensation, God releases spirits onto the earth realm who would be housed in bodies who have the capacity to attend to the sophistication of darkness in their own generation. So the more the darkness gets darker, the more the quantum dimension of light that is released into the spirit of the children being released in this dispensation. Do you understand this? So what it means is that more and more, and I know you've already started to see that, the 10-year-old of this generation is not the 10-year-old of when we were children. The 10-year-old of this generation is actually sometimes a 15-year-old in their thinking, in their emoting, in their envisioning. And you have to recognize that this is an undercover spiritual strategy. This is God's joker to infuse quantum grade heavenly dimension of light onto the earth realm so that it can tackle the degree of severe darkness in the world. There is severe darkness in the world. There is great darkness in the world. And I want you to know that you should have no fears concerning your children. You should not look around you, the LGBTQIA plus agenda, you know, the sexualization of young children, the degree of violence and vices, the utility of the media to objectify, whatever, all this satanic fear that the enemy is seeking to infiltrate into the system because of the darkness. Don't be overtaken by that fear. Do not allow yourself be concerned that your children will be overtaken by the darkness. They were actually hardwired with an original divine DNA encoded into their spirits to answer to the darkness of this generation. You just have to turn on the light that is hidden in their spirit. You just have to turn on the light. So the conversation tonight is for you to be the person who turns on the light. You just have to be a firelighter. And it should give you courage, it should give you conviction, and it should give you confidence. Why? Because parenting is not going to be about looking out for what you don't have, but that you desperately need to raise your children. No. Parenting is going to be significantly about a partnership with God, utilizing the power of divine wisdom to unlock the light that is hidden in your child that will answer to the darkness of this generation. Everything that your children require to overcome the sophistication of darkness in this age is already encoded into their divine DNA. So our work is to continue on the path of transfiguration, transformation, so that we are properly positioned to turn on the light on. And this is by the way of foundation laying. We're going to get into the conversation very shortly. But carry that assurance. No matter how dark it gets in the world, always know and always confess that the light in your children will overcome the darkness in the world. No matter how severely dark it gets, no matter how bleak the blackness is, no matter how damaging and destructive the darkness is, the light in your children will always be more sophisticated. They are encoded and hardwired to answer to the darkness of this generation. Have no fear. But that takes us on, and that is what this entire conference is about. It takes us on to the question you should be asking, DDK, how do I position myself to be a firelighter for my children? How do I position myself to be a warrior who knows how to strategically release my children as arrows for the Lord? But have no fear. And every single conversation all through this conference will continue to answer that question for you. And guess what? You will hear for destiny. Not everything you will hear in this conference will be for you, but the things that are for you, you will hear. Because what you have to reckon is that even though parenting is a universal concept, parenting is about the most private and prophetic path you will ever take in your life. Accurate parenting is about the most private and prophetic path you would ever take in your life. Do you know that parenting is so prophetic and so private that even though you are one parent to 3 children, each of your 3 children or 4 children or 7 children will experience your parenting differently? Do you know this? That is how prophetic and private parenting. So it may be a universal concept, a biological concept, even a social construct, but it is also an extremely private and prophetic path. And what this means is that in the retinue and the bouquet of counsel that will come to you today, your heart must be positioned in a way that continues to say, God, you know my own children. You know my context. You know my generational patterns. You know my mindset. Help me to hear what I need that will come together into a personalized toolkit for unlocking the greatness that is in my children. And this is why any person that is going to create significant outcomes in their personal lives, in their family, their community, their nation, their generation, must be a people of private processions. What's the meaning of private processions? No matter how abundant information is, no matter how abundant wisdom is, you must always have a private funneling system through which you sieve information and revelation and counsel, and you begin to ask yourself, what is mine in all of this? That's why there isn't room for comparison. That is why there isn't room for competition. That's why there isn't room for complacence. On a journey that is personal, a journey that is strategic, a journey that is time-bound. And you have to have your eyes on your own unique context. We both have 5 children. They're all in the same school. We got married the same year. We live in the same estate. You still require private processions. You proceed privately. A wise man orders his steps and he keeps his eyes on the path before him. Processions, step by step. One of the most dangerous things about our generation is actually one of the most beautiful things about our generation. One of the most dangerous things about our generation is the proliferation of counsel, the proliferation of information, the proliferation of answers. Everybody has something to say about everything. And you just get on YouTube or you get on Google, you will see all manner of counsel coming through for any subject area. And you must become a person who has that funneling system, a value-based, revelation-driven pursuit of unique counsel that is applicable to your journey. And that's why I pray that prayer that you will hear for destiny. That which is yours from this conference will come to you. And you start to pull it together till a toolkit is built. And you start to say, I can't use that. That wasn't for me and my own context and my own children, but this burns in my heart. So look out for what burns in your heart as you listen throughout this great conference. Look out for what stirs in your heart. Look out for the reminders you get that just comes alive. You note it down, put it in your journal. You should work on this. I should work on this. Look out for the pictures. Look out for the burdens that won't leave you. Look out for what will float in your mind when you wake up tomorrow morning. Because when your spirit is settled, the counsel that is most significant for your journey will actually remain with you. And it will float into consciousness again. Look out for those things. And that's how you go on the journey of perception, reception, perception, and conception. And what is yours will then stay with you. You will win. You will build with wisdom. Your children will be raised by wisdom. And can I also quickly say this, that wisdom is a currency in the spirit. I want to speak to those of you who do not yet feel economically advantaged. I want to speak to those of you who can't send your children on vacation. Those of you who feel like your children's schools are not even the best schools compared to your contemporaries. Those of you who buy outfits for your children from, you know, the lowest priced stores, and they don't wear labels, they don't wear designers. Those of you who feel like you're managing, never ever look at your child and have a sense of pity. Like, oh my God, and don't raise your child to ever pity themselves. If they have to wear that shoe or that bag for the entire term and you had to sew it back, never create a system of pity. Wisdom is a currency. You focus on instilling the right values in them. Focus on teaching them to be leaders without title. Focus on teaching them to carry a sense of responsibility to solve a problem in their generation. You focus on instilling virtues and Christian character into them. Give them a strong sense of wealth that is connected to things that are not tangible but will matter in the coming days. You gave birth to your child, you know, in a military hospital. Someone traveled to the US to have their own babies. They have a second passport. Never, ever perceive your journey from a materialistic matrix that makes you waste time in investing in what will count in the coming days and what will stand the test of time. And don't ever allow your children to feel like they are disadvantaged. Because you know what? It is not financial limitations that really created trauma in the hearts of people. It's not financial inability or financial limitations that really infuses a sense of poverty in the hearts of young children. It's really the mindset that is transferred to them in the face of material or financial limitation. Some of you are here. You are now doing well. God has prospered you. You have the right work ethic. You are a visionary leader. You know how to prosecute opportunities. You are quick to discern your seasons. You are doing good, and you are giving your children new opportunities in their lives. But you were not raised by wealthy parents in terms of money in the bank. You were raised by wealthy parents in terms of the right values, in terms of confidence, in terms of communalism and that love, that bond that was shared. You were raised by wealthy parents because they gave to you value systems that have become transgenerational. Do not, because you are now wealthier, replace values with vacations. Do not replace spirituality with schools. Do not replace diligence with dilly-dallying. And, you know, do not surround your children with materialism that they miss out on a sense of meaning, true purpose in life. Don't do it. Wisdom is a currency. From where you are, nothing is holding you back from being a great parent. From where you are, and I don't care where you are, wherever you are in your life, if you are going to make up your mind that I'm going to be a firelighter for my children, and I will pull out a toolkit by the help of the wisdom of God today for the unique context in my own family life, and I will use this toolkit diligently, then 100% you are equipped for transfiguration. As you change, your children will change. Now let's get on into the business of the day in the time that I have with you. That was by the way of saying, hey, welcome. That was by the way of introduction. That was by the way of just warming up the conversation and just encouraging you that you are making the right investment by being a part of this conference. And for those of you who are wise, you quickly want to jump on the inner circle booking fee, lock it in so that you get the discounted rate right now. Okay, now let's talk about time. Let's start off with time. Going forward from today, I want you to actually start to pray this prayer. God, sanctify my moments, sanctify my time, and pour weight into my days. Pour weight and worth into my days. If you are unable to create value out of time when it comes to your parenting, the likelihood of regret is very high. And for some parents in their old age, they are living with the reality of their regrets. In some cases, those regrets are 52-year-old men who still live in their parents' home. I'm not kidding. So they are elderly men, elderly women in their 70s and 80s, in their 60s, who are living with the mobile version of their regrets, the breathing, living version of their regrets. Their regrets wears shirts, their regrets combs hair, their regret eats meals, because their regret is a human being. Sanctify my moments, sanctify my time, and pour weight and worth into my time. Everybody has 24 hours. Every single day, every living being gets credited with 24 hours, whether they are wise or foolish, rich or poor, whoever they are, whatever they've done. If they squandered yesterday and lived with no vision, if they have breath in their nostrils and they wake up to the miracle of a new morning, they are credited with 24 hours again. How do every person on the face of the earth, every person who is a part of the humanity project, how do they have 24 hours, but the outcomes are radically different? It means that it is not in the volume of the time, it is in the weight and the worth of the time. It is what goes into time that impacts on what happens in life. What goes into time determines what happens in life. Everybody's got 24 hours. How are our results so different? How are our outcomes so different? How are our realities so different? Everything that you are going to instill and infuse in your children will happen in the context of time. So you actually have to start to look at time differently. That what can I do in the course of time on a daily basis that can radically form and fashion the wholesome destiny of my children and prevent them from the patterns that have assailed me and those who came before me? What is going to be different? Whatever goes into time is what comes out of your life. Do you see this? So if we all have 24 hours, but the outcomes are so radically different, you should begin to actually ask yourself, am I investing time in a way that I can reap a harvest, a compounded interest in the coming days? So time, we're going to get right into, in a matter of minutes, what we can start to do with time. But I want you to begin to think about time differently, treat time differently. And when you are in time, be fully present in time. What this means is, going forward from today, never forget this. I want you to make a consecrated commitment that every interaction I have with my child will become a memorable interaction. I know that that sounds like a rather ambitious thing, because, you know, you're just like, what? Why so deep? You know, sometimes I'm taking their bath. Sometimes we're gisting. Sometimes I'm driving them to work or to school or to the cinemas. Sometimes, well, they're in a different room. I'm in my office. I don't want to be disturbed. But you can make a commitment from here, and God will help you. That is why you will pray the prayer, sanctify my moments, sanctify my time. For God to sanctify your time is to pour weight, value, worth into your time, is to give you memorable opportunities and encounters that become so significant they are worthy to be remembered. What are memories? Memories are quality experiences that became frozen in time in the mind of a person. Memories are significant experiences, whether they were painful, they marked the soul. And they became frozen in time in the mind of a person. That's why you possibly, some of you have relived a day or a 25-minute timeline in a day in your life when you were 6 years old and you're now 46 years old. So when you start to pray that way, God will take distractions out of your time. God will take wastage out of your time, leakages out of your time, frustrations out of your time, and you will start to pour more value into moment. But going forward, you can make that commitment that every interaction I have with my children will be memorable, they will be significant, they'll be meaningful, because I will be intentional. Every experience, every encounter, I'm going to make it count. So I'm going to give you 5 very random and basic examples. As you start to be present in time, so that time becomes a vehicle for destiny experiences in your parenting. Look at this. Do you know that you can hug your child, and in just changing something about how you hug them, you can build memories in their minds? Everybody hugs their child. Hopefully you hug, you know. How about you determine going forward that you will always spend 5 extra seconds still holding on to your child after they were ready to let go? I started practicing this in 2020, and it has transformed the emotions of my children. How about you say, I will hold them for 10 seconds longer? So you know how you're holding, after a few minutes or seconds, the child is ready to let go. Oh, I love you, mom. And they want to let go. And you still hold them in there. You see? And how about you say, I would always put my hands on 3 of the most significant parts of a child's body when you want to affirm them. I put my hands on the center of their back and lean it closer to my chest, or put my hands on their shoulder, or put my hands on their head. And how about you say, I commit that every single time going forward that I hug my child, in addition to holding them 5 seconds longer, touching a significant part of their body, I will say a word of affirmation or prayer or love permanently. Look at how you can transform the worth and the weight in that time of hugging your child, that it becomes emotionally memorable. So it's no longer flippant, something as random in that sense as a hug. And you hold them there and you put your hands at the center of your child's back. And so I always mean it when I say, it's my honor to be your mom, or I love you, I'm proud of you, I understand, I see you. And then you even start to enjoy it, random. How about you say, every time that your child is leaving the door, every time, no matter how much in a hurry, and you're just trying to pack their bag and say, hey, oh yeah, have, that every single time they are going out of that door, the last memory you're leaving with them till they see you again later in the day or days after is a word about who they are in the world they're going into. Hey, champion, you go win today. Go for conquest. You got this on lockdown. Go for gold. Hey, remember, you're a natural leader. Permanently, you are transforming time. You can make that commitment. Look, let me tell you why this is powerful. Because what I'm teaching you to do is to simply ride the waves of natural occurrences. How about you started putting notes into the lunchbox of your child? You anyway pack their meals, right? It anyway happens that they will take their meal pack to school. How about once a week, you now make it your determination that you create a treasure hunt and you just put something in the bag, a little post-it note that says, I enjoyed making this meal for you. I love you, you know, more than you love this rice. Just making the moments count. How about this one? That going forward, when it's time to pray at night, I will always actually ask my children to pray for me about something that I'm trusting God for. And we'll exchange it. I do that on Monday. And on Tuesday, I asked them, what's really in your heart that I could pray about? Oh, you know, it's just making time count and being present in the present. Being present in the present. That's actually one of the greatest things that you can do with time. That whenever I sit with my children and we say it's time for what we call like reading circle or what we call debate night, games night, whatever we are doing, we put our phones away. It was the toughest thing for my husband to do, but yeah, I'm the police of that. We put our phones away so we are present in the present. Time. Time. May God sanctify your moments, sanctify your time, help you to pour weight and worth in your moments. That's how we change our lives. I want you to heal from something as I move on to my second thought. And I need some support in the private chats. Please let me know how much time I have more. Don't ever forget this. Okay, I'm just going to quickly highlight the things that I can hear. I have a word for 3 categories of people. The first category of people are people who have joined this call and are in faith for their own children. You are on this call, you are in faith for your own children. I just heard very vividly, I will bless in the most unexpected ways those in faith for the I will bless in the most unexpected ways those in faith for the fruit of the womb. And I release that word with faith in my heart and with conviction that as you've joined this call tonight, believing that the door will be open for you to carry your own seeds, God says he will bless you in the most unexpected ways. And I receive that with thanksgiving. I declare that it will be unto you according to God's word. And I declare that there are still exceptional months in this year for you to experience the miracle of conception. Your joy will multiply and we will testify with you. The second very strong word that has just come into my spirit is for parents, or let's say fathers or mothers who are deeply dissatisfied by the absenteeism of their partner. A father who is dissatisfied by the absenteeism of his wife as a mother to their child or children. A mother who is deeply dissatisfied with the absenteeism of her husband as a father to their child or children. And the word that I got for you is that your pain and your irritation, even though it is valid, is leaking the grace for prophetic parenting. Your frustration, your agitation, your irritation, even though it is valid against absenteeism and what you call irresponsibility, God is saying to say to you that this irritation is creating an atmosphere that is leaking the grace for prophetic parenting from your family. And now this is actually interesting because I get a very strong sense, a note in my spirit that is also a word even for single parents. So if you're a single mother here and you are carrying the burden of pain for the rejection, the unfaithfulness, the irresponsibility, the letting down, the disappointment, the absenteeism of the person who is father to your child, but you didn't get married or you got married, you had a separation, whatever the issues are. Right now, you're a single parent. God says to tell you, I'm going to fight for you. I see you and I'm going to fix these spaces of seeming injustice. But I want you to keep your focus so that I can empower you, so that you're not leaking the grace out of the atmosphere that should have, so you're not creating an atmosphere that is leaking the grace you require for prophetic parenting. Prophetic parenting simply means God giving you the skill, the strategies, and the systems required to be effective in parenting your child according to their unique destiny. Do you understand this? This is so important. Prophetic parenting is when God partners with you and He puts in your hands the unique skills, strategies, and systems that you need to parent each of your children according to their unique destiny. It comes from God. It comes from God. So He said those feelings of agitations, even though valid, are creating an atmosphere in your home or in your life, leaking out the grace for prophetic parenting. So repent of that, right? Now, I am going to teach you a unique strategy that you can start to use because I feel you and I know how tough it is. And let me tell you the truth, actually. I promise you, and they're going to affirm now. Watch out for them in the comment section. I promise you that at least 80% of the women on this call have at one time or the other felt frustrated by a measure of absenteeism that their husbands were demonstrating in the parenting arrangement. Tell me if I'm correct. Great men. Because if you married a man between the ages of 30 and 45, 100%, 90% of them were not raised to actually have a model of how fatherhood, the kind that we resonate with and the kind that is balanced and proper, should be done. Yeah. But a wise woman has to know how to navigate it. And navigating it doesn't mean enabling the irresponsibility. No, that's a whole different conversation. No, it's not enabling the irresponsibility, but it is ensuring that you are not so frustrated that you become distracted from doing your own part. It is building a strategy for continually parenting while you are fixing on the sideline the normalized nonsense that the other person has. If you married a man between 30 and 45, 90% of them did not have a model for excellent fatherhood, excellent parenting. Think about it. Our parents' generation had absentee fathers. Absentee fathers, and it didn't mean all of them were irresponsible, but most of those fathers were not hands-on. They believed if they provided, they were kings of their home. The mother is the homemaker. So if you've ever been frustrated about your husband's priesthood, that he's not showing up spiritually, he's not paying attention to children's education, you are the one always going to PTA meetings, he doesn't involve himself even in the devotionals, you know, all of that, I'm telling you, you come, let's gather. Everybody will gather to do groupie or you know, nice selfies. Some people will sit on the chair, some people will be at the back. But a wise woman ensures that our irritations, agitations, and frustrations do not introduce trauma or toxicity into a family atmosphere. You have to navigate that. And this is not a matter of, oh, a wise woman submits. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying in your life, you have to be a woman who navigates with care every situation that frustrates you, so you don't engage in drama and you don't acquire trauma. You can't be 35 years old and acquire new trauma. You are too old for this kind of thing. You can't introduce drama into your life at this age. Your work is cut out for you. Whether you have a 4-month-old baby or a 14-year-old daughter, whether you have 1 or 6 children, your work is cut out for you. If you start to understand how prophetic and private the path to parenting accurately is, you will mind your business, sip green tea, and focus on building your lineage. Because your goal should be, even if I didn't come out from a wealthy family must come out from me. You want to be a high-value mother, a high-value father, raising and strategically positioning your children to engage in the world, in the future of, the world of the future excellently and have a competitive advantage. You can't have time for drama. You can't engage in drama and you can't acquire trauma. No, you can't do that. We're busy. We have grounds to cover. You see this? So that's the second, right? Pay attention and God will greatly help you. He will help you. He sees you. He understands your burden. He will carry you. Your joy will multiply and you will get answers. You will get answers. The third that I got so strong in my spirit, and I'm even seeing a few vivid pictures, prophetically, I'm seeing very vivid pictures. This is for those who have been deeply hurt, rejected, neglected, or suffered as victims of partiality or unfair favoritism with their parents. God is asking you to heal and to let it go. Some of you are waiting for an apology to heal. It's not going to be fair on your own future. Those of you who have been hurt by your parents, hurt by a step parent, those of you who've been neglected, those of you who were treated like the black sheep, those of you who you had siblings that they preferred, they were the shining stars. You were a victim of favoritism or partiality, unfair treatment, or words, unkind words, or what we call death words, words that sting were used against you. And today there's still a part of your heart that says, I just want to put them at arm's length. In fact, you might need to put them at arm's length. This is reality. There are some dimensions of toxicity that is generational in your lineage, and you actually know that the right thing to do is to create barriers as a form of preserving yourself. This is real and it's fine, but your heart must be in the right place. Right? So I stand with you tonight and I pray that the portals of healing will open up to you, that your spirit will become awakened to the love of God and to the fatherhood of God. That even if you didn't have anyone model the love of God as Father, you're going to encounter it in new streams of relationships, and more importantly, in your own spirituality. I pray that there will be an unblocking of every portal of kindness and compassion and grace that you carried in your heart before, but you shut out because of the way that you were treated. And for some of you, it wasn't biological parents, it was mentors, spiritual parents, father figures, voices, and influential adults who played a significant role, in shaping your identity, your perception of yourself, your sense of belonging. And then they violated that trust that you had bequeathed in them because you did a thankless job, you were not appreciated for your service, you were called names, you were badly treated. Whatever has come on your path, looking at someone ahead of you as a figure, a source of succor, a nurturer, and they mistreated you, I pray that healing streams will flow into your heart, because God will unlock your heart. God will unlock your heart, and you're going to see with new eyes, hear with new ears, and you will come into a new dimension of understanding. Now, this leads me to the prelude between number 1 and number 2. Number 1 was all around time, and then we got this prophetic word that God shared with us. And I want to give you a prelude before I go to number 2. I want to share with you one of the biggest reasons that we join communities like the Inner Circle, we went Dialogue, the reason we read books, the reason that you listen to mentors and coaches and leaders and significant voices, right? One of the biggest reasons that you partake in the knowledge economy that is so vibrant in our generation is actually to access something called the gift of perspective. The gift of perspective. I want to teach you something. You are as blessed as your perspective, as poor as your perspective. A lot of the frustrations, the sense of failure, the dissatisfaction, the depression, the gross distress that many people, especially women, face is not connected to their pragmatic reality in terms of their real life. Is connected to their perception about their reality. And your perception about your reality is actually your reality. I'm telling you, there are women who live in, at best, middle-class contexts, at best, who are more joyful, more grateful, more satisfied, more pleased than women, than some other women. I coach women in Ivy League universities running PhD programs in several hundreds of thousands of dollars. I coach women who are C-suite leaders in multinationals who pay me between $30,000 and $50,000 to get coached. Listen to me, can I tell you something? I coach women who have earned and accessed opportunities that are reserved for the 1% of the population. Can I tell you what about 60% of these women come to talk to me about? About 40% come for execution coaching. I asked that. All of them say they come for execution coaching, but when they come closer, about 60% will typically begin from their dissatisfaction about life and how they feel that their lives are meaningless and how they wonder how I have this powerful life of such great impact. And why are you frustrated? When we list it out, it's a matter of perspective. Some of you feel like you missed your husband. And whenever you think that thought, all of the angels, they'll be like, when you just feel like, I'm not married to my husband, right? This is not my husband. Because if this is my husband, what? All the angels will not, they are, because they know the script. They know all the angelic resources that were expended to make your car break down in front of Chicken Republic that day. And it was your husband that came and helped you. They knew the angelic efforts to create traffic. They knew all of the activities. They knew the resource that was mobilized out of the central bank of heaven to make sure that you and your husband met the day you met. They knew what was happening, how they even blocked MTN network for you not to be able to call your ex that day, and your ex kept calling you, you couldn't call back, and that's how he was upset and followed the girl that was the one that proposed to him. They knew everything they worked on to just achieve this match made in heaven. But based on perspective, you don't understand it as a match made for the earth. They know everything that went down to lock up this heavenly frequency in time, because you may underestimate the role that humanity plays in frustrating God's agenda. You may underestimate it, but it's very high. I'm telling you, because God will not strive forever with man. I'm telling you, very, very serious. And that is why when it comes to parenting, one of the biggest reasons why is warfare. And that's my third point. And I hope I can get there and close out and land it by God's grace. One of the greatest reasons parenting is warfare is because you are always turning your back on the armory of battle. You are always undressing after we kit you up. You are always forsaking your weapons. You are always forgetting instructions. You are always backing down when it gets hard. You are always saying the things you shouldn't say. You are always letting your emotions lead you. You are always missing the attention you should give to what matters most. That's that's the biggest reason it's a battlefield. It's the biggest reason. The biggest reason parenting is a battlefield is because parents do not behave like soldiers. So don't underestimate what it takes for heaven to make happen on earth what it designed by original arrangement in the realm of the spirit. So some of you are here frustrated by situations that are the dream of other people in a different context. That marriage, we fought yesterday, I don't even appreciate the way, can't you see his mates? We've been trying to pursue this Canada thing. He's not doing anything different about it. He's not paying attention. He's not He's not moving with pace. That kind of man that is kind and patient, a little bit laid back that you can push, that is someone's dream. And I'm not saying that if something is wrong, you should enable it. But I'm saying that you should purify your perspective so that you don't perpetuate paradigms that create problematic patterns in your life. I'm saying purify your perspective. I'm saying be careful to carry the right paradigm about everything, especially your children. especially confession time. We're all here. You know that from when your child begin to clock the age of 4, 5, my God, then they're getting to 8, 10. I'm not talking about teenagers and the difficulties with raising teenagers. No, I'm talking about little children. Would you confess that indeed a time can come where you actually don't like your child? Have you experienced it? Yes. Where you are frustrated by their behavior, frustrated by their personality, it gets annoying, their stubbornness. And you actually feel that irritation. By the time they're now getting to 10 and they can hold their own perspective, they can argue and say, no, I don't mean to interrogate you, but why? Why should I do it? Why? I'm not even talking about teenagers yet. You actually feel that frustration, right? And you can be in a place where you unconsciously start to carry negative emotions. You start to house it because as a parent, we don't know we're meant to purify our hearts toward our children. And we don't know we're meant to pray that our children will have favor with us and we will have favor with our children. You are meant to pray that way. You are meant to pray that way. Purify my heart toward my child. Give me favor with my child and give my child favor with me. We're meant to pray that way. So as things continue to happen, I'm telling you that your 4-year-old can frustrate to the point where you want to keep malice with her. Oh, you've never known that? Yes. So some of us are housing such great degrees of stress and hurts. And who would even believe it that you could get hurt by your child? Forget all those nice, cute baby videos you watch on Instagram and you say, oh, my ovaries. No, have 3 children. Let them be between 4 and 12. You won't say, oh, your ovaries. There are days you are driving into your house and you want to sleep in the car. Absolutely. You just want to sleep in that car and just say, everybody just stay away first. Stay away. So if you do not have in your parenting toolkit the right perspective, the right posture of heart, the right prayers, you will amass negative energy that weaken your ability to parent strategically. Do you see this? It's real. It's real. So you have to purify your perspective and pray for your heart that your children will have favor with you and you will have favor with your children. Purify my heart. Heal my hurts. You are human. Oh, it's because nobody told you that you can be hurt by your parents and you can be hurt as a parent. You can be hurt by your parents. You can be hurt as a parent. And you don't have to have a 30-year-old child to feel deeply offended by your child. Oh, yes. Imagine when they're now like 12 or 15 and they start to take sides. No, daddy didn't mean it like that. Mommy, you were rude. You were rude to dad. Or you were rude to the caregiver. You've not heard those kind of things. So, look at that. Banker said she tried me. Purify my heart. You can be hurt. Okay? So that's the interlude, the gift of perspective. Number 2, and we're just going to run on this really quickly. And we've been highlighting it previously. But let's zoom into it a bit more, right? We've already continued to say the parent is the critical factor in parenting, right? So let's talk about this one. And then we close out on a few things I want to put in your hands specifically in terms of how you now approach parenting your children by the grace of God as you go ahead. Let's talk about generational patterns. Let's talk about generational trauma. Let's talk about generational pain. Let's talk about generational afflictions and generational addictions. Anywhere there is generational pain and generational patterns, what is powering them or what powers generational patterns and generational pain are generational paradigms and generational personalities. Actually, generational curses are simply generational personalities on steroids, right? If those patterns will be broken, a paradigm must be broken. A personality must be shifted. Now, if you're of African descent, you've lived in an African country, were raised by an African parent, and if they were part of a traditional church setup, an organized religious format, right? Like, don't want to mention any churches, right? The likelihood is extremely high that you were a part of a mildly or a severely dysfunctional family. Because the paradigm of the generation that raised our generation is that if you bore a child, you actually, from that moment you gave birth to that child, acquired the required skill sets for excellent parenting. That's the paradigm. Right? That's the paradigm. If you were raised by that generation, the paradigm is that as you gave birth to the child, you became a parent, and whatever you do is what you do. Whatever you do is parenting, and that's it. Nothing gets better from there. Now, if you slap religion on that, if you slap most of the approaches that churches took to their faith in our parents' generation, if you slap it on this initial paradigm I have shared with you, things really get funny from there. Because by the time you add faith on it, you are adding things like your parent is your God. After God is your parent, they can never be wrong. And if they are wrong, then you shush. And you can't get angry, because if they curse you, it will happen. Right? You slap that on it. On top of that, you slap the expectations of busybodies who become your uncles and aunties, mothers and fathers. All of a sudden, you acquire new mommies and daddies every time you go to church, simply because they are church members to with your parents. You see, so you add that to it. They become monitoring spirits, witches, and wizards who have no context of your unique personality, but will lay the stereotypes of social expectations on you, introducing you to painful experiences you did not ask for. You didn't buy it, but they dashed you for free. Right? Then on top of that, remember that they are going to use comparison, and they will create unhealthy rivalry between children, trying to use the success of one to inspire the other. And I can go on and on and on. Remember that if you were raised by that generation, you also have to add the communal factor of the typical African parent into it. They likely brought in a cousin, a niece, a nephew, an uncle to live, with them, because that was also like free care that they didn't have to pay for. They will care for their own children, wash the cars, do things at home, while they repay by sending them to school, opening up about 80% of children in our generation to mild or severe sexual abuse under their watch, and they had no education or tools to understand what was happening. Do you see this? And the more I go on and on and give you examples, you will start to see how severe the degree of dysfunction that existed in the average family, even of parents with the best intentions, who prayed every night and had hymn books at home. And that is why we had a severe degree of rebellion, especially amongst children who were raised in faith-driven homes, because they bottled up so much pain, so much resistance, so much rebellion, that the next opportunity they got, they just unleashed. Guess what? Some of us on this call, actually, you got married as an escape from that dysfunction. But what you do not know is that simply changing your external environment does not automatically heal your internal environment. And so you still house, though with a prettier body, the wounds of that 5-year-old girl that was slapped for an auntie because they thought you were rude, even though she claimed you stole something you didn't steal. You still house, even though in a fantastic muscular frame, the hurts of that 11-year-old boy who lost his elder brother to sickle cell but could not cry because, oh, Korean now, boys don't cry. You know, shall I agree? Why you being weak? And so today, your wife is shocked about how you're so emotionally disconnected, detached, and unavailable, unable to truly bring out the deepest vulnerabilities in your heart. How do you undo the person that you became from 11 when you are now 41? Do you see this? Or a child or teenager who loses their mom or their father never were permitted to grieve because you were just bundled, the three of you, to the house of an auntie. She's even stressed by having all of you, school fees she has to pay, and you're just moving on. Go, move, move, move. Keep it moving, moving through the motions. There has been so much pain. There has been so much grief. There has been grief. There has been so much hurt, so much trauma. There has been so much, you know, indifference and lethargy and anger that is all housed. And guess what? Before you got a chance to heal your brokenness and your inner damage, you were already a campus pastor when you got to university because of your charisma. What did we know? We were 18, 19, 20, but you were already pastoring. You had charisma, gift of the gab, you were smart, and you could pray. All of a sudden, your life got on this curve of doing, that you are now a performance-driven wreck. You are actually experiencing high-functioning depression, but you don't know. Something hurts on the inside, but you are accomplished. You have a lot of followers on social media. You are not doing too badly. You married the man of your dreams. Your children attend the best schools. You get your vacations regularly. You are hashtag goals. But you don't even understand what is going on. And God says to tell you tonight that I see you. I will fix you because generational trauma must end. It will not continue. It will not be transferred to the next generation. I will fix you, help you, restore you, mend you. Some of you are just very performance driven. It gets you results, but it's coming from a place of brokenness. Some of you are extremely defensive. You coil away. You know, you're just like, and you seem mature. People think you're mature and calm, but it's because you are avoidant, always detaching. Some of you are always lashing out, and your children are recipients of it. You apologize. You be like, I love them so deeply, but you have so much anger, so much anger. And let me tell you what, do not use false virtues or appearance of Christianese to cover what is wrong. In your private moment, you know who you are. And the greatest goal of your spirituality is actually meant to be transfiguration. The sinner needs salvation. The saint needs transformation. So after you come into this relationship with God, you're going to spend your entire life from now till you meet Jesus in glory if you're a believer. From now till then, you're going to be on this journey of healing, of outgrowing carnality and brokenness and dysfunction. And please, I don't care if you're a geo and you have 14 billion followers. I'm saying to you that you should know yourself in a way that other people don't. And you should respond to that person on your inside that you know. Why does this matter? Painfully, our generation has more access to all kinds of resources on parenting. Did my father have an opportunity to sit in a conference like this? Absolutely not. He did his best. I'm thankful for him. But in the midst of the resources that we have in our own time, in our own dispensation, do we know that we're still raising broken kids? The only thing is we're raising them differently. Because of our own hurts and brokenness and rejections, the favoritism that was against us, we made the commitments that no, I would not let my child experience something like that. So instead of firmly correcting, We are so afraid of the criticism we experience that we do not know how to discipline anymore. So we are raising children that are high on sugar, sugar of praise, sugar of validation, sugar of acceptance, sugar of you can do nothing wrong, sugar of, as you know, assaulting and insulting caregivers in the favor of your children, because you are just so afraid for your children to go through the pain you went through. So you are creating an advanced system for them to meet that pain in the future. You don't know how to correct firmly because you are so afraid of criticism. You see this? And now the performance-driven parents are out there getting the applause that they are desperate for because validation was missing in their childhood. And because they cannot be present for their children, they replace it with all other kinds of enticing appeals just to assuage the conscience of that child or their own conscience when they can't be present with them. And so we must say that as God will help me, these patterns will not be perpetuated. I will heal the paradigms and the personalities that were modeled to me and have acquired subconsciously and unconsciously as mine. It's time for a new beginning. And if a parent does not experience transfiguration, they are not empowered to position their children for destiny. You already know all the things that I could be saying to you when it comes to what you should be doing with your children. And that's why the inner circle exists. But I'm saying to you that a time must come in your life where you say no to your normalized nonsense. A time must come in your life where you say, I acknowledge my brokenness. Look at this. Every single month in the course of the last 5 years, let me tell you this, I consider myself one of the most emotionally steadfast, confident, healthy, assured, deeply joyful, okay with my life woman. I have absolutely no affinity for comparison. I'm not inspired or moved by everything just because it's colorful and has an allure. I'm grounded, and I've been grounded from my youth. But I still reckon on a consistent basis that healing is not an event or a destination. Healing is a lifestyle. Do you see? These are books that you will find with me every single month. Every book that Dr. Deji-Kurunmi has written on soul, Reclaim Your Soul, The Prosperous Soul, 40 Days So Fast, I've read them for years. I'm constantly on the journey of keeping my soul stored, refreshed. If something hurts, I'm going to journal about it and say, why do I feel the way I feel about this? I'm consistently walking through journeys of forgiveness, holding nothing against no one, so I can be light in my journey. So I can be light. Dr. Cindy Trim is my very beloved mentor, mother, coach, spiritual leader, you know, and I love her. And I will always speak to her and continue to just say, you can't imagine how powerful the things you've shown us are, because they're transformational. It's a lifestyle. You keep at it. Stop thinking about healing as though, oh, it's for people who were abused when they were children and they had heartbreak. You know, no. To live in healing is to live in vibrance and to retain your childlike wonder, your awe, your joy, your beauty consistently. And if you don't do that for yourself, no matter how well-intentioned you are still going to create these patterns of trauma and generational pain, right? And generational patterns of dysfunction, even for your children. It's what it is. You see, I had a very difficult conversation with my mom when I said to her, Mom, I need you to stop sending me some types of WhatsApp messages. And she said, oh, because they don't sound spiritual. I said, no, that's not the point. The reason I don't want you to send them to me anymore is because you're projecting your fear. You're projecting your fear. And I want your fear to be healed. but I also want to ensure that I don't inherit it, I don't acquire it. You see, because everything you see that sounds like something happened to someone while they were doing, you're just like, hey, see what happened against. Don't project your fear. I have no intentions of acquiring it. I love who you are. You're awesome. You're extraordinary. You've given me the best virtues, but I don't want your fear, and I don't even want it for you to. And we had this very powerful conversation, and I went over to see her and prayed it out of her. It was my honor to engage that session, because deliverance is preached, deliverance is preached. Deliverance is preached. That's what scripture says. And I preached deliverance to her, hijacked that pattern that had been there for decades out of her heart. Live in peace, enjoy your life. Things are going to be beautiful. You see. So we want to intentionally go on that journey and continue on that journey. And it's going to transform your life. When your life is transformed, your parenting will be transformed. And when your parenting is transformed, your children are going to become arrows out of the hands of a mighty man. Now, I'm going to tell you this. You may think that the mighty man in that scripture is God. No. The mighty man in that scripture is you. The warrior in that scripture is you. Do you see this? So I'm going to leave you with this final insight, and I will try to keep it brief. We'll do that for a few more minutes and we tie it to a close, right? I'm going to put in your hands an important dimension of the warfare when it comes to the side of your children. You want to raise prophetic children, and you want to prophetically position them to be at the cutting edge of their giftings, their graces, and their calling, to unlock their great, to manifest their greatness for their generation. You want them to overcome the world. You want them to win over the assaults of the enemy. You want them to have the language of reality, the conduct of kings. You want them to have perspective that is visionary and supernatural. You want them to embrace a strong sense of responsibility, be firmly established in the right value system. You want them to be greater than you from their youth. You see, you want them to be Pro Max version of your best version. Let's do this. One of the most significant things that you can do, it said, as arrows are in the hands of a mighty man, so are the children of one's youth, and not merely chronological youth, but more youth that glories in their strength. There are young people chronologically who are not strong. There are older people chronologically who are strong, so they are in their youth. And that's why Joshua could say, give me this mountain, just as my years are, so is my strength. Caleb, give me this mountain. I'm ready to take on this mountain. Do you understand this? So here is the secret I'd love to put in your hands. And I know you know it, and I'm just here to remind you of it. If you want to release your child as an arrow, you have to treat them as an arrow. You have to treat them as an arrow. What that means is that an arrow is sent forth in the direction of its sharpest edge. Have you noticed that? That's the way you send forth an arrow. Your children are an arrow, or they are arrows. And an arrow is sent forth in the direction of its cutting edge, its sharpest edge. Your children are like every other child and like no other child. Your child is a girl or a boy of a certain age, has certain preferences, is in science, art, or commercial, or whatever. They have similarities with children like themselves, but they have things that stand them out as their soul signature, as their prophetic blueprint, as their supernatural signature in the spirit. You have to know those things. If you know your child by their name and their temperament, you have not started on this prophetic parenting conversation. What is their name in the spirit? What problem are they born to solve? What seems like a disadvantage but is an advantage? Do you see this? Who is their prototype in the spirit? What belongs to the genealogy of Christ that has been hidden in them for this time? So you have to follow the treasure hunt till you uncover. And actually, it's a lifetime journey. It's great to say you have 18 years, but I'm not certain I buy into that philosophy. The only thing is your child will need different versions of you in different dispensations of their lives. There will be a time they will need a mother. There will be a time they will need a mentor. There will be a time they will need a matriarch. When I am 90, I'm still going to have strategic, game-changing enthronement conversations with my children in their 70s and their 60s, because I am a generational matriarch. So if I'm an advisor, and I am an advisor to nations, industry captains, presidents, and spiritual generals, my children are going to need me. Nothing stopping at the 19-year age mark. Who said that? We're going to build that kind of bond. We're going to partner to build businesses and global ministries and do mighty missions. So they will need us, and that's why we must keep the path of transfiguration. We must keep growing. You see, but treat your child as an arrow, and remember that each child is an arrow of a certain kind. Except you release them in the direction of their sharpest edge, it is impossible for them to achieve their highest purpose and to wreak the most defining damage against a specific agenda of the enemy in their generation. You see this? So start to pray. This is your biggest assignment. Start to pray about it. Show me my child. What's their prophetic prototype? What's the blueprint of their life's work and assignment? How should I understand their personality? Yes, thank you, Chris. They'll need a father. They'll need a mentor. They'll need a patriarch. Good job. That's it. Right? So start to ask that question. Who are they? Everything you can study and observe, pay attention to it. And do not, this will be my final words, beloved fathers and mothers, do not organize your understanding of who your child is within just the limited context of certain gifts and talents that are celebrated in schools. Traditional school systems have one of the most limiting context and framework for unearthing the greatness in your child. Don't look at them and think math, science, English, ballet, and you can't see your child fitting in. You're like, why didn't you? Others were getting awards. You didn't get an award. Never. I love you all, and it's been such a beautiful time sharing the evening with you. Remember that you are actually anointed, and there is no need to fear, because your children have what is required to quench the darkness of this age.
Thank you for listening. We are sure you have been tremendously blessed. To connect with Kingdom Leaders Global Alliance, please visit our website, www.kingdomleadersglobal.org. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, Kingdom Leaders Global Alliance, for our video resources, and follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at Kingdom Leaders Global. God bless you.